Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, please like and subscribe. But for today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I basically curl the ends of my braids. So pretty much this is how I went to sleep last night. I finished my hair at like about midnight, and luckily I'm at work today, so I have a whole day to do this. I don't have to like rush or anything, even though it's only going to take like 30 minutes or so. But pretty much how I go to sleep, I just braid all my braids together, and then I just put a hair tie at the end of them so that way they don't come apart. But the style that I'm gonna do with these, I accidentally did them longer than I intended to, because originally I was gonna do them like this long and then curl them up to like here, like shoulder length, so it's like a little bit longer than a bob. But these braids are just extra long because y'all know my costume is gonna be the Queen of Hearts for Halloween. I didn't want to do it like too orange or too red, so I kind of just ended up like mixing all those colors together along with like some, I think the color is like T350, which is like a little like auburn-ish color. And I guess I could have done burgundy, but my friend is doing burgundy for her poison ivy costume, so I was like, let me do some more orange. And then since I'm keeping this in for all of November, it pretty much just looks like fall colors anyways. So this is the length of it currently. It's really long. And what I have to curl my ends is basically these little like wire twisty thingies. I don't know like if y'all know what these are, but I get them in a pack from the beauty supply store, and they come in different sizes as well. So these, the smaller ones, determine like how tight your curl is going to be. So these give you like a really tight curl on the ends, and then like this is one of the bigger size you can do, which basically gives you like bigger curls. Take the rod and I straighten it out as best as I can from my last usage, and then I do a hook on the top of the braids, and then I wrap around any direction mostly, but since I am right-handed, and technically I'm using my left hand for this, but like I just wrap around like this, and I guess on the other side you're supposed to wrap around the other way, so it gives you like two different curls on different sides. But I just wrap them all the same way. I do not care, because in the end it's gonna look like a jumbled curly like ends anyways. So I wrap them around as far as I can go, kind of keep it like here in the middle, but obviously if you're curling more hair, you're gonna end up going all the way down. And then you basically like turn them upwards, and then take the rest of it and wrap it around like this, so that way when you dip it in the hot water, it doesn't come apart. And then I just reinforce it, make sure it's good to go. And then this is gonna be how far up the curl goes. So that is why like when you are curling your braids, if you do want like a lot of curl at the ends, you have to make your braids like all the way down here. If you want you need to make your braids all the way down here if you want your curls to end up like right here, But since my hair ends right here, the curls are gonna end up right here. So it's like you gotta do like a whole, how long, like what is it, 6 inches, like longer than what you actually want your hair to be. And last time when I got my hair done in September, she like curled my ends too. But the thing is, like, I was so pissed off the whole appointment, low key. I still gotta edit that video about how she tried to set me up during the hair appointment. But I was like pissed off because I got like a boho bob, and the bob took forever to do. The parts are like humongous, the way she parted my hair, to the point where I posted it on TikTok, and now that video is at like 150,000 views of people telling me like, oh, like that's not size, those aren't small parts, those are like fucking large, those are marge, people clowning me in the comments. But I'm like, bro, this is how she did my hair. I asked for small, she did large parts because she was probably tired as fuck, and she fucked up my appointment time, so she was just trying to go to sleep. But yeah, so now, like, since then, I'm like, damn, like, should I bother finding another stylist for like my birthday next year, or do I just say fuck it and do it myself? Because clearly I could do this shit myself, Okay, so these are a couple at the end. I'm not really like counting out the braids or anything. I'm just kind of like sectioning them off, and I'm gonna like slowly go like higher and higher, I guess. If y'all do your hair regularly, I did buy my own kettle I guess you could say, because technically these are like for like actual like tea and boiling water and whatever, but it works well for my braids because since my braids are so long, I can just dip them into the kettle, and it also helps me boil water faster than waiting for the pot to boil as well. So sometimes, like, I think for this I might end up using a pot simply because I do have like a lot of curlers in my hair, and sometimes like there isn't really enough room for me to insert a lot of my braids in here at the same time. So I might just use this to boil the water faster and then just still use a pot, I guess. But yeah, I was like, I don't know, like imagine if I was like a professional stylist and I was watching her do my hair and I was like judging her every move, you know, like, so imagine, like, I can't even imagine like a professional stylist watching her do my hair, because I'm not even a professional, and I was pissed off watching her do those like big ass parts or whatever. I also was on live for like 3 hours yesterday, so if my voice sounds kind of hoarse, it's because it is, okay? And obviously, like, you guys see how long this shit takes. I'm gonna maybe have to just speed up this video. Okay, so now after letting them like sit for a little bit, I let them cool down, because there was one time where I tried to curl my braids and, you know, I dipped them in the hot water and then I unwrapped them like, you know, a second later, and then all of my curls just like dropped instantly because the water that was up here, it slowly goes down the braid and then I guess it just like straightens out the curl basically. So now I kind of just let my curls like sit for about like 10 minutes, and then I like, you know, slowly dry them with the towel and then just let them air dry pretty much. I did try with the blow dryer one time, because like usually I do this at night after like, you know, a long day of doing my hair. I dip my braids, do it at night, but then I go to sleep with like soaking wet hair, right? So now don't really do that anymore. So like, see, it looks like this because I didn't braid all the way down here. I stopped the braid like all the way up here, but this is what it's supposed to look like. Like, you're supposed to stop braiding right here and then have the curl going down. So if you want better results than this, you can literally just braid to the point where you want. But I don't know, my fingers be hurting too much to braid all the way down, so I kind of just like stopped halfway on all of them because that's where I intended to end my braids, you know. But when you unravel them, sometimes like they come off easy like that, and then you just got to make sure you like slowly separate them, because sometimes they'll get tangled down here. But see, these are what the small curls look like. And then let me unwrap a big one for you guys. So I kind of just like straighten out the rod, and then I go by the top most of the times, and sometimes I'll do this like around, sometimes I'll like do it like this, and then I'll just keep going out. Sometimes it gets tangled, so you literally just have to yank it off. And then I do end up going back and cutting off the ends, because sometimes the ends are like the straggly parts, obviously. So it's like some of these, like this part is like literally completely straight, so I'll go back with scissors and cut that off. But these are how the big ones ended up. Kind of like the little ones, but as you can see, they're like wider curls. Usually I'll just take the washcloth and I'll just go around like this part, so that the part where my natural hair isn't so stiff. You know, I boil the water, pour it on the washcloth, let it cool like for, you know, 10-15 seconds, and I'll put it around like this braids, and then I'll like slowly like move up to my scalp, so that way like the braids from the roots aren't so stiff, because we all know after you come home from getting your hair done, or like, you know, after you do your hair, the first 2 or 3 days they be looking like a little bit stiff, right? Because the bottom, this all looks loose because you just dipped it. But if you try to like put it in like a bun or a ponytail or whatever, sometimes it'd be looking weird because the roots are still stiff. Especially like, I think the worst thing of that is when I used to do soft locks, bro, and then it literally looked like a tree coming out of my head, and then the other loose part, right? Because you have to like wrap the hair around your real hair or whatever. So soft locks are the worst, and I feel like I'll probably never do those again, simply because of how long it takes. Like, the results are amazing, obviously, and then they do last a long time, but they do take a long time putting them in. And then there was one time where I cut my real hair on accident, and I swore I would never be one of those people. So I'm like, you know, soft locks, not for me anymore. But now I have gotten into like learning how to do wigs, and even though they're only like synthetic wigs that only last like a week or whatever, you know, at least I'm just slowly expanding my talents and my styles. Because I remember I dated this one guy, and he didn't like that I necessarily wore braids all the time, because braids is kind of like not really elite in the world of today's society with Black women. Like, you know, everybody likes when Black women have like a 32-inch middle part bust down wig, right? But obviously that shit is expensive, right? Because you have to buy the hair, you know, schedule the hair appointment, $300, you know? So it's like a lot, and then it doesn't even last that long because of leave out, or, you know, especially like depending on what season you do, it's like a lot of leave out or whatever. And then it ends up looking raggedy like within 2 weeks, right? So he would complain that I had braids so often. But then when we broke up, that was literally when I started doing like wigs officially, because we were like on and off. And then I magically learned how to do wigs. And then I shaved my eyebrows thin, because my eyebrows are like really, in real life, they're like super thick. So I shaved them thinner because apparently like that looks good on girls with big foreheads or whatever. So I shaved my eyebrows, threw a damn black wig on, so it looks like I had like a 32 bust down, right? But, and then he messaged me and he was like, oh dang, like now you wanna start looking like this after we broke up? That's crazy, right? So he clearly just admitted that he prefers girls with like wigs and like weaves and stuff, right? Whole time, the whole relationship, he was telling me, he's like, oh, I like your braids, like blah blah blah, right? And then at the end of the relationship, he's like, why the fuck you wearing those braids so much? Like, damn, do something different, blah blah blah, right? You know? So it's like, men just be projecting their insecurities, and then all of a sudden they want you more when you got like straight hair. Like, that shit is weird to me, you know? Like, I want a guy who's gonna appreciate whatever hairstyle I do, you know? But this is how this side is coming out. So usually, like, look at that, I gotta cut that off. Usually I have one side that always turns out better than the other side, but you can't really see it that much when, like, if all my hair is behind me in the back, it's none of my concern, right? But obviously, like, when it's in the back, like behind you, like all of like the two sides mixed together, so then you can't really tell which side is better. But I always find that, like, you know, unintentionally, one side always comes out better. And you saw me like rip off that hair when it was like stuck, but like, look at that, bro. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 curls right here. Looks like this. Separate them. But sometimes when you do like too much braids, like I said, it gets tangled at the ends. But look at these. Literally all of these turned out perfect. Like, look at that. But I'm gonna most likely end up like cutting that part off. But yeah, this was a whole process. I don't know why I made this video so long. It could have been 3 minutes, but you know, I want to do like a mix of like long videos, like longer than 15 minutes, and then like, you know, shorter than 5 minutes, just so people have a variety of what videos they want to watch. But after this, it's like 12:30 right now. I'm about to go do my makeup, and then I want to take pictures using my camera because I still haven't done that yet. Like I have taken pictures, but not like in my professional setup, because my backdrop, I have my backdrop now. I have the thing that hangs the backdrop, like the metal pole or whatever. And I have a camera. And I also have to get another tripod because I just want like not a lot of stuff, but just like multiple things in case I'm trying to film like a long ass video and then like, you know, my tripod suddenly falls over and breaks, and then at least I have like a backup, because right now I don't have a backup. But let me put my glasses on so I can fucking see. But right now, this is the final look. It is supposed to give that staggered look, but maybe I should have like did the front parts like higher up, because that was what I intentionally was gonna do. But like, is it a little bit staggered? Like, you know, but I'm still learning how to do different things, you know, because I like being a trendsetter and whatnot, but it's not really giving staggered, but whatever. I have to maybe do it like 2 inches higher up than each one next time. And then I know like for the past couple of styles, I have been doing boho braids because everybody's like addicted to boho now. But the thing about that is that it takes so long to like add each curly piece and, you know, separate the curly pieces off the little thing or whatever. And synthetic just gets tangled really fast. So it's never really been my go-to. Like I do love how it looks. Obviously it gives like a more boho look rather than like just this. But this is literally my go-to. But now I guess I might as well show you guys how I cut the ends. But look at this, like it turned out really good, like the tight curls rather than like being too loose. But I'm on my tippy toes right now because my tripod is too low. But I'm gonna just like try and keep it like this diagonal type, because that's what I was going for, right? I don't know. Let's see how it looks from the back. So you see, usually the middle part right here is supposed to be the longest part, and then it's supposed to get like shorter on the sides. And then I have, let me put this over here. I always cut it like as a middle part too. That's something I can suggest to you. Like I put the curlers on when I have a middle part just so everything is even though like literally I mostly wear it as the side part, you know. Now I guess I'm gonna have to edit this video now because it's so many parts, but this is how it's looking like. And then, you know, sometimes I'll just cut more off depending on like however you want to do it. But does that look even? Like sometimes I just feel that it's like off too. But then I remember I did like this staggered thing, but then it just looks weird, so I don't know. But yeah, this is the finished look for the braids. For my Queen of Hearts costume, like I said, I wanted it to be shorter than this, but mostly because for the Queen of Hearts, she has her hair in like 2 buns. So the plan was to like wrap this and then wrap this, but it's gonna be 10 times harder since these braids are longer, so it's gonna be harder to get them to stay. But like something like this, like some kind of buns, and I'll have to like pin up some of the curls, I guess, and that's gonna take forever to do. And then I have my little crown that I'm supposed to be wearing as well, so I gotta make sure that fits around the buns. But ew, look at that. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.